Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. And today what we're going over is an updated look at my home media center for 2021. So between my original video when I filmed back in, I believe it would have been early 2020, a few things have changed. In terms of the hardware, more or less all of it is still pretty much the same. I've trialed a few different things and basically there's only a few things that have actually changed. But what we'll do is we'll kick off with the main parts of it, and then I'll talk about some of the surroundings, so such as the media consoles and things like that people always ask me about. Okay, so to start with, the centerpiece of my media setup is my LG C9 OLED. This is the 65-inch 2019 model, but I actually purchased it in February of 2020. Now, originally in this room, what I had was a TCL 65-inch TCL TV that got moved into the other room, and because this particular TV is so low with regards to the base that it comes on, despite me having an actual LG soundbar, it wouldn't actually fit under the TV. So originally the TV wasn't wall mounted, but as soon as I got this TV, I then had to wall mount the TV. Not the end of the world. I actually like having it lifted up because it makes it very easy for me to cable manage and just make it look really clean and a really nice install. Just below that, the next piece is the LG SN11RG soundbar. So originally I did have the SL10YG. That was the same soundbar that actually came out in the same year as this particular TV. Now, there was two things that I didn't really like about that particular soundbar. The first one about it was it wasn't eARC, so it was only ARC, so it was only HDMI 2.0. This one is now eARC, and I believe it is HDMI 2.1. I'm not 100% sure on that, but either way, that sort of caveat doesn't really make too much difference to me, and I'll explain more about that a little later on. So the soundbar is now eARC, which means that if I do connect anything directly to the TV, or if I'm playing any internal apps, it can then send sort of lossy or lossless audio back down to the soundbar, whereas previously it wouldn't have done that. The other reason I got upgraded to this soundbar from the SL10, so this one once again is the SN11RG, is because this is now a 7.1.4 setup, whereas the previous one was a 7.1.2. So this one now has rear Atmos speakers. So I have them mounted to the wall just behind the sort of main settee at the back of the wall, the one that faces directly onto the TV. It works really, really well. The speakers as part of this kit are much larger in comparison to the original ones. So you get much more sound, you get much more height channels, because obviously previous there wasn't any rear height channels, and this is the first one that I've actually used where in this room you actually get really, really good Atmos effect. Recently we watched a movie, I think it was, what was it? Mortal Kombat, that's it. And that was probably one of the best movies that we've watched in a long time when it comes to surround sound, because it was just super realistic in how people were traveling behind the camera, and you could just hear the panning as well as the height effects really, really well. It was the first movie where even my kids noticed that the sound wasn't actually all coming from the front of the room. Obviously they're not very technical minded, but even they could hear that, yeah, something is actually rushing behind us. So that's a massive improvement for me over the SL10. For anybody out there right now, you can actually pick up absolute bargains on the SN11. Obviously a new one is probably going to be coming out very shortly, and I have seen some people speak of offers where they can get a 65-inch C1 as well as, oh sorry, not a C1, a CX, as well as the soundbar, sometimes for as little as £1,600. That combination is excellent value. So right now I'd say this is a very good soundbar. It does have negatives about it as well, and what I'll do is I'll concentrate them in a separate video. I do already have videos on the soundbar on my channel, so if you want to check those out, but some of the things they still haven't rectified, so we'll probably do a follow-up on that. Sound wise, really, really good. In terms of my setup, I'm really, really happy with it in terms of both the picture and the audio that's coming out of it. Okay, so coming on to the next sort of peripherals, if you like, and that is just down there we have the PS4. Now I was hoping that by now I would have got the PS5, but even to this day they're still not available, and I'm simply not paying above the retail price for them. So until they actually become available and aren't a rip-off price, we're going to be sticking with the PS4. The PS4 has been used pretty much since day one on this particular TV, and one thing that my son told me instantly when we first plugged this in and got it all hooked up was how fast the input response was. So how low the lag is in terms of your input lag, as well as the response time. So he absolutely loves gaming on this TV, and it's been used pretty much for that mostly since we actually got it. Coming below that, we have, you may just be able to see it just down there, a Apple TV 4K. Now this is the original Apple TV 4K. I did recently test out the new 2021 model, and I do have a link for that in the top right for the review video of that. Just to gloss over things, basically it was sent back, you can go to that video. It's a much longer video and it gives a lot more detail in terms of why that one was sent back. But for me personally, the Apple TV 4K is my primary media streaming device and I absolutely love it. Right, now coming on to some of the other things around it. Actually, just before we do that, just in this little cabinet down here, the right hand drawer that drops down, inside there I have my router. I then have my Orbi mesh system as well as my NAS drive. The NAS drive is where I store all of my media, and that's be that movies, TV series, as well as all of the home sort of memories that I gather, all the photos. I keep copies of everything. I believe it's something like about 20, maybe 22 terabytes at the moment, and there's still 2 bays free that I can actually make use of. So tons and tons of memories on there. And that's something that anybody out there that's looking into home media systems, first thing I'd recommend is get a decent NAS, because it will make life so much easier. And just in terms of managing all your own content, all your photos, your videos, any memories that you have, it just makes it so simple. My particular one is a Synology, I believe it's the 418 Play, maybe wrong on that, but I think that's the model, and it does work with Plex as well as other things, but I don't personally use those because on the Apple TV my go-to app is Infuse. Infuse is possibly one of the best apps that I've ever used for this kind of thing, so if you haven't used it, check that out. It's a brilliant app. Okay, so with that said, now coming on to some of the other things that have kind of changed. So something that I always get asked about is the lights behind the TV and on the cupboards, cabinets, whatever you want to call them, on either side. They are not HomeKit lights, sort of native HomeKit lights. I've actually got them working through my NAS drive using Homebridge. I do have videos on those on my channel, so what we'll do is, once again, in the top right I will link in a card and you can go and watch those videos. It explains how I've got them working, where to buy the kit from, how to get them the cheapest possible available, and then I also have a one-stop shop from Amazon. It's a cheaper product, sorry, a more expensive product, but it's a lot simpler to get working if you simply just want some LED backlights. Now the way I have mine is I have one strip along this cabinet, I have a strip going around the TV, I have one strip going all the way around this cabinet, and I have one strip going all the way around that cabinet. All 4 strips are completely independent. Now you'll probably notice that this one just here, it looks a slightly different shade, and the main reason for that is because despite the fact that all of these were bought and set up at the same time, this particular unit didn't actually arrive, because originally when I purchased these side ones, one of them basically didn't turn up. They delivered it to the wrong address, and then they went out of stock, and because of lockdown and everything, we just couldn't get hold of one. So for a long time I only had one of these and the one along the bottom, and basically because I've then got this much later, plugged it in, those LEDs are much fresher, much newer, and for some reason, despite the fact that there shouldn't be a drop-off because they're all only 5-meter units, there is a drop-off in power, which means that they end up a slightly different shade. I don't actually mind that, because it does actually add a very nice effect where, depending on which colors you're actually viewing, sometimes it will actually blend between the colors really nicely. So I've not actually messed about with that too much to try and rectify that. But yeah, everything can be moved. So the TV can be pulled out, the cabinet can be pulled out, each one of these can be pulled out, and all you're doing is unplugging a 4-pin connector. So that's what I wanted. So I didn't want anything tied in, which made it harder for you to actually move stuff about. So if I wanted to move any of these side ones, I could literally just pull them forward, and it's just a simple 4-pin connector that unplugs. Similarly to just down there in between the TV, I have conduits running behind each, well, the whole length of that wall, so all the wiring and everything is all hidden away. Now coming on to the main media console, this particular one I actually purchased quite a few years ago. It was, I believe at the time I bought it from eBay, and all I did was I searched for 2-meter media cabinet, and most of the ones that you find will basically be separated units. It will have a cut in the middle, and say for example they'll come in, I don't know, say 1 meter units, and if you want 2 meters you just have to buy 2 of those. I didn't want 2 units, I wanted one singular one, so this is the one that I went for. It wasn't very expensive, I think it was only maybe 150 pounds, something like that. It was in that kind of ballpark, and it's lasted perfectly fine. Obviously this room is more protected in terms of nobody really comes into here that's going to trash the room or anything, and then whenever we're using it, I'm generally the one that cleans in here, so I take care of it, make sure it doesn't get scratched up anything. The top of it is a sort of matte effect, and obviously the doors are the shiny effect. Now these side ones that I've actually got, as I say, we actually ordered one of these, I think it was from, my wife ordered one of them from one of the catalogs. Now I don't actually like that the sides of these are actually glossy, but it doesn't actually cause too much of a problem because they are to the side, and at the moment it's only a 65-inch TV. You don't get too much reflection, so that's one of the things that concern me with them being glossy, is the fact that sometimes you'll get a reflection off there from the TV screen itself and it'll cause a distraction. But thankfully we don't get too much of that. Somewhere, obviously I do have a lot of room around the TV, and I have also been looking into projector screens as well as simply just going for a 77-inch OLED or something like that. If I was to go down that route, then obviously this might be more of a concern with regards to the reflection, for the simple reason that you'd be much closer to those sides, so there's more chance of reflection. But for now it's all fine. Now these units, as I say, I can't remember the exact name of them, but they were extremely difficult to get hold of. And this right hand unit actually arrived damaged as well, but at that point we'd already been waiting over a year for the second one, and basically I just didn't want to risk not being able to get hold of one again. So with regards to that, I actually contacted the seller. The seller agreed to basically refund half the price, and we just ended up keeping it. The damaged part is actually on the opposite side, just near the foot down there, so it's near this bottom section down here. So you don't end up seeing it anyway, and worst case scenario, even if it was visible, you could just swap these two around and it'd be on the opposite side, so it'd be facing the wall anyway. So yeah, it's not ideal, but basically I didn't want to have just one unit and be waiting on the other one for even longer. Another thing that I'm always asked about is the little flowers that we have here. So as you can see, they're not massively bright, they're literally just battery powered little pots with lights in them, but they do add a really nice effect. Now those particular plants were purchased from, I believe it was Very, which is a catalogue here in the UK. We have checked since, and they're just not available anywhere. You can buy similar things, but basically it's just a case of searching for ornamental flower lights or something like that. Other things that we have going on here is just down here I have a little Eufy plug-in camera, and that actually hooks up to my HomeKit because Eufy can natively add into HomeKit. Next to that we have my thermostat. This is a Honeywell T6R thermostat. It's worked flawlessly since day one. I do have a video on that as well on my channel. Just down there is my Lumetric clock next to my YouTube sign. The YouTube sign was a gift from my daughter, so I like to feature that in all my videos. But yeah, the Lumetric clock, I've had that since, I believe, when I hit 1,000 subscribers. That was something I actually purchased back when I first hit 1,000 subscribers. As you can see, I'm just under 3,000. So hopefully by the time you guys are viewing this, I'll be over 3,000 subscribers. But yeah, the Lumetric clock, I've got a few sort of plugins that I've installed into it, the YouTube one, sports ones, and as you can see, weather and all the normal ones. I do like it because it gives enough information without being sort of over the top or distracting whenever we're just in the room, and whenever we're watching movies, because it's got the sensor just on the front, it will actually go dim. Yeah, that's the home media setup that I've got as of, well, it's the 29th of May 2021. I am hoping somewhere down the line to actually upgrade this particular TV to a 77-inch OLED, or possibly one of the new 84-inch OLEDs, now that they're starting to do those sizes as well. The 77-inch OLEDs have actually come down massively in price for the UK, but they're still quite expensive in comparison to other parts of the world. So for example, the 77-inch OLED, I believe right now, if I search Amazon, I can pick up a CX 75-inch for sorry, not 75, 77-inch for roughly around 3,500, and for quite a few years, the cheapest you could pick them up for was around 4.5, maybe 5,000. So it has come down quite a bit in price, but obviously we'll wait and see what sort of deals we can pick up. Maybe towards Black Friday, I might look into that again. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you do have any questions about anything in this video, in terms of contents of this whole side has pretty much been taken over by my YouTube stuff. It's got all my microphones, all the cameras, my drones, gimbals, anything like that. I'll do a separate video in terms of everything that's contained in here, because that would actually take quite a long time. But yeah, if you have any questions about anything in this video, drop me a comment down in the comment section below. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. Also hit the bell icon, that way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And until the next time, thank you very much for watching.